What's going on, everybody? This is about to be the last time. This mess is crazy. Thank y'all for tuning in with me. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all. So, hey, thank you for choosing Rocky Road TV, where we laugh, learn, brainstorm, and expand our consciousness together. My name is Racquel, and you don't see my face because I want you to pay attention to my words. Please drop your thoughts, perspectives, and experiences in the comment section below. Sommore has inspired me tonight. Tonight, Byron and I, my husband, watched her stand-up. It's called Sommore Queen Chandelier on Netflix. And some of the things that she began to bring up are some of the things I actually wanted to talk to you guys about and never got around into it. So I think it was all in divine time, and these things need to be expressed because we have really had one hell of the last 3 years. So in this live video, I will review Sommore's Netflix stand-up. It's called Sommore Queen Chandelier. I will talk about who I am, the topics that were inspired by Sommore, and my raw afterthoughts. This includes Monique and the bonnet crew, the COVID experience, how things were with the mask versus no mask, our entertainment, the jab we was going back and forth over, the LGBTQ community, kids today and their freedom of expression, the Kevin Samuels experience, baby boomers and fear, the beauty of social media, the doctor-patient care relationship, and much more. Again, I thank you so much for being here, and we're about to get into it. So stick around. Thank you for choosing Rocky Road TV, a channel where the viewer is spiritual royalty. Here on Rocky Road TV, you and I laugh, learn, brainstorm, and expand our consciousness together. My name is Racquel, your earthly spirit guide and spiritual alchemist. Please make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. If you clicked on this video, it was meant for you, so stick around. All right, and we're back. Listen, let me be clear, okay? I know I'm not for everybody. I have my limits, and I'm not the person you call when you're looking to be agreeable. If you're looking for somebody just to agree with you, I'm not that person. I'm an acquired taste. I'm like a wine. I can go from sweet to bitter. And that's really depending on who you ask and how you are with receiving the truth. Because one thing about me is I will never mistreat you, disrespect you, but I don't coddle or cater to delusions. And my perspective determines what those mean to me. So you might be like, I'm not delusional, but I'm going off my perspective. So however I view delusion, as I'm constantly evolving, if I don't want to deal with the shit, I just don't. With that being said, if you are sensitive, please click off now. But if you have some gusto and can withstand someone's entitled viewpoint, please stay right here. And when I say entitled, I say, we are all spirits living a human experience. And, I gave somebody an example like this earlier, right? So let's say you say deers chase humans, and somebody else says, well, no, they don't. I've never been chased by a deer, but you have. And that's why you're able to say that. That's probably a ridiculous example, but it's an example nonetheless to illustrate what I'm saying. We all have different experiences, and this is why people say my truth. And people get hung up on that, but you are not going to view the world the way I do. So when you come here to Rocky Road TV, you are looking through the lens of how I see things. And in some regard, we might agree, and some that we may not. One thing I do know is that Sommore does not get her props enough. I have always liked Sommore. I like her comedy. I like how direct she is. I like the things that she says. She's funny as fuck. And she's doing her thing. And at the beginning, she was talking about basically how people be too deep all the time. And people can get too deep sometimes. And she just like to keep it surface. And one thing I really respect was how direct she was and transparent with that. But she's an awesome comedian. She really is. And we don't hear her name celebrated enough. And I really want to give her flowers. And she is the big reason of why I'm doing this video tonight. I'm going live tonight here on YouTube because, again, we've had a hell of a 3 years. And I think we're still processing it. And that's why no one's really talking about this. We just, especially our people, right? We are conditioned to keep it moving. We are conditioned to be on to the next thing. But as she began to talk about this, I began to reflect on some of the thoughts that I had. And so we're going to get into them tonight. It's been life-changing. Let's talk about the bonnet crew. Remember the bonnet crew, the whole situation. Monique was calling them out. People were mad about it. They can wear their bonnets if they want to. Mind your business. You don't pay my bill. Whatever defensive mode people get into. And that was the take. And Monique, very politely, she does not have a problem with expressing how she feels. She's direct in a very respectful way, but she will get you together. So we love our sister for that, our auntie for that, our cousin for that, however you want to look at her. She's another one. I just watched a movie from her recently. What was it? The Reading, I believe. She's Monique, listen, y'all better pay this woman. Y'all better pay auntie, okay, because she acted her ass off. And I seen some comments, some people didn't like it, but it was a good movie. And I'm going to leave that there because we're not talking about that, but I just wanted to acknowledge that. Sommore had made a very good point speaking on one of her loved ones, and she had asked them, like, what was up with the bonnets? Like, why would they feel it was okay, basically, to wear it out in public? And she said that her loved one made a very good point. No one ever told us that we couldn't. And that's interesting, but you can't argue with it. We expect people to see everything the way that we see it. We feel that it's not proper, but at the end of the day, they walking out the house, they okay with it. They okay with the bonnets. You got the issue with it. Now, do I agree with dropping your kids off to school with the bonnets? Walking around in the store, Family Dollar with the bonnets? No, I don't. In the airport with the bonnets? No, it's not something I would do. But at the same time, I'm not who's doing it. So I feel like even though I could say all day it's a more proper way to do things, I ain't about to, lose my hair over it. But I don't blame Monique for when she addressed it. I really don't. And she was talking about, Sommore was talking about how the people that wear them same people that wear them bonnets, the energy that they be coming with, they bout it. You see anybody with a bonnet and some pajamas on, they whoop ass. They gonna get down. and I thought that was funny, and I couldn't do nothing but agree. During COVID, when COVID broke out and we didn't know what the hell was going on and everybody was going crazy and everybody thought that Jesus was going to crack the sky and you better get your life together and it's over. And people were buying up all the toilet tissue paper and it was a whole frenzy and everybody's acting a fool. I remember telling my coworker, I said, now that they put us on lockdown, watch how people going to be at the crib. They're going to be arguing. They're going to be arguing about dumb stuff too. And it happened. People start getting the divorce. And the thing about it is that you got a bunch of people sitting at home. They don't have any outlets. They can't see their side chicks, side dudes, because that's going to bust up the sham. We can't really get out, so you can't have them come to the crib. You'll be exposed. So now you getting into it with this person because for the first time you had to sit down not only and address your demons and any bad decisions that you have made or the lack of decisions you have made. You have to deal with this person constantly. And that was a challenge for a lot of people. My marriage did survive. There was a lot of people that didn't. One thing I do say for those that did not survive, I believe it was in divine order. And I believe that it's never too late to have a companion. That one didn't work out and you will get another one. But please know that you're always going to attract the depending on your level of healing is depending on what you'll attract. Everything outside of that and in between can be discussed, but we'll keep it that way. I remember she was talking about how people was cooking. I remember I was up in here, man, I was cooking so much stuff. I was getting creative. We was eating good. And it's like being in a house, the inner fat girl activated. It activated. It did. Because what else is there to do? One thing about it is, I know in my family and a lot of black families, eating is a big to do. It's a whole event. Some of us used to get dressed up. I remember we would go out to eat every Sunday after church, and that would be a big thing. You would get dressed up. You would be sharp at what they would say back in the day, sharp as a tack, to go out and just enjoy a meal. Half of it was because you were sharp as a tack coming from church. But, people dress up. Your anniversary, you dress up to go out to eat. Your birthday, you're dressed up and you go out to eat. So eating is a whole thing. So now we had to get creative at home. And that idea... It was getting so ridiculous. We was looking up more recipes that we was looking at other cultures and their recipes, and you might not agree with maybe not enough seasoning or maybe not no seasoning you use or whatever. You make your alterations. But, you began to run out of ideas because we were spending so much time in the house. I remember that you couldn't go anywhere, so Meijer, the grocery stores, became the new club. You would find reasons to get to the store, dumb stuff. You're going to buy any fucking thing because you want to get out of the house. It was a lot. And for people that do not like to do a lot of self-reflecting and they're always running away from things, it was very challenging. I know that those people were in depression, and that's not to make light of them or to say something's wrong with them because they don't self-analyze. They just haven't gotten to the point where they realize that that is necessary. They haven't gotten tired and provoked to the point where they realize this is what I have to do to make alterations in my life. I have to assess and be intentional. We look at a lot of things and we judge people. Like, for instance, we judge women that have a bunch of kids by different men. But to the core of it, what it really is lack of self-analyzation, being real with ourselves, and moving with intention. When you're not intentional about your moves, things slip through the cracks and you become a piece of happenstance. This is why it's very important that everything you do has intention behind it. Y'all remember when people were getting on social media and we got the dances going. We're getting more creative with the skits. We've got our own cooking channels. We're creating our own HGTV channels going live. That's when the verses emerged. And remember when they first started out and the sounds was messed up and they was having technical difficulty, kind of like how I went live about 3-4 times tonight just to get this out. There are technical difficulties when you're starting something, but it's okay because the more you do it, the better it gets. And as you can see, it turned out to be a huge thing and we enjoyed it. We enjoyed the virtual concerts that came to us, and we enjoyed watching the competition, the friendly competition. Now, it was some versus battles that were very shady. It is. We're not going to go over there. If you know what I'm talking about, drop that in the comments, please. And as we go on, like this and share this video, because this is a conversation we need to have. This is a part of healing. This is a part of healing the spirit. We need to talk about these last 3 years. And I want to hear what you have to say in the comment section, how you feel about it. Yes. So, I am going to bring up one. I'm going to bring up a couple. I said, let's keep it moving, but I am. It's important for me to give my perspective, too. I really enjoyed the Snoop and DMX verses. The prayer that DMX gave, you could feel it from the heart. It was from the heart. You know what I'm saying? His words are always profound in the DMX fashion, but it was from the heart. It was that energy emanating from the words that he was speaking. And Snoop is just Snoop. Snoop is a vibe. Snoop will cool anything up. Anything dry and terrible, add Snoop to the mix, it's going to be all right. So, that was great. And the Jeezy and Gucci concert, I was geeked up over that because, I love Jeezy. And if you didn't know, now you know. But I'm going to tell y'all something. Chaka Khan and Stephanie Mills is what I got to talk about tonight. I'm getting a little bit off, and then we're going to get back to the bullet points. This is still within the part of the COVID that we're talking about, though. Both beautiful women, both icons, both deserve their flowers. Both personalities are amazing in their own ways. Auntie Chaka is funny as hell. She was funny. I really commend Stephanie Mills how she held space for Shaka with what we saw, what was going through. So that was beautiful, the sisterhood within itself, you know. But I got a little kiki out of that. I ain't gonna lie, I got a little kiki. And I'm not into dragging my people or nothing like that. And I don't think she needs to be dragged. I'm just saying, if you saw it, and you have your own opinion. You have your own opinion. Then we had our DJs on there. We had DJs going live. I don't know if that was before the verses. That might have been before. Was it DJ Nice? If I'm wrong, please correct me in the comments. But that was a thing. So much it started to get so lit that they started cutting DJs off. It was like, oh, y'all doing too much. Y'all getting too creative. We're going to shut it down. COVID, though. COVID became the new racism. What was crazy, I remember at the beginning of it, I never was worried about getting sick. I didn't care what they put on the propaganda, fear-mongering machines, channels. It didn't matter. And I don't watch a lot of news because I know that. I know for a fact there's a lot of propaganda and fear-mongering, because the way to get to you and keep you in line is to keep you in perpetual fear. So know that. And you just got to believe that, you wrote this script before you got here and you got your own back. You don't need to be scared, but they want you to be scared, and we got to get out of being scared. It was very interesting. And it was like, when I would express that I wasn't worried, I would get this resistance from people. Like something was wrong with me because I just knew I was going to be all right. And see, that's how you know it's a problem in society when, you can't even be confident and have faith that you're going to be all right. I don't understand that. I don't understand it. I mean, you have people, you don't have the jab, you have the jab. We're arguing back and forth as if people don't have a freedom of choice. And here we are again. We are putting our lives in other people's hands. We're making other people responsible for our decisions and the way that we move. And that was by design too, because there's always something as a distraction on the external to keep you from looking internal, to keep you from focusing on you and bettering you and taking accountability for you and being intentional. Because that's you're here to be intentional. You are the spark of creator. You create. And to create, you have to have intentions. And if you're distracted, you cannot create. It's just that way. When you got so much going on and you have so much pulling from you, it robs you of your creativity. And it began, this slippery slope of controlling how people think. It was a young lady. I was watching her today on TikTok. And she was talking about when she was a child, she went to class one day. She had a teacher that she did like. And then she gets to class. And this particular day, the teacher says, everybody shut up, sit down, don't move. If you do any of those, and these are not verbatim, I'm summarizing what she was saying. If you do any of those, you will fail the class. So he gets them all sitting around this table and with this bowl and this fish in it. He takes the fish out of the bowl, sets it on the table, and walks out the room. Now, everybody's looking at each other because they're nervous. They're trying to see who's going to break it. We don't want this fish to die, but if we move or we make any noise, we're going to fail. So eventually one person got up, one young lady got up, put the fish back in the bowl, and then the teacher came in and basically let them know how this is the state of the world that we're in. This is what has become of us, that you almost let a fish die because you were afraid of the repercussions. But see, the thing is I've seen us band together. As negative as we look at this social media, as many negative effects that it can have, it has a lot of positive things. We're able to talk to people all over the world and share our experiences. We really are. We could do so much with this thing. We're able to connect with people that we never would have. It would have only been a dream, but now it is possible. And with all the technology we have, we're only operating at a fraction of its capability because that's all we have access to. But trust me, we have more than what we have access to. Let's just say that. And we are on here It's like we have dumped into another world. We are, in some way, we're creating our own personas, whether they be real personas or not. Maybe we've made them up, but we're able to be what we want to be and talk to people all over the world. But at the same time, we're finding ourselves suppressing one another. And then we get mad at freedom of speech. We're losing our freedom of speech. But you just got mad at somebody and what they said because you didn't agree. How about this? Kevin Samuels was the perfect example of it. Now we see how we're moving through this conversation. Kevin Samuels, whether you agree with him or not, and this is what Sommore brought him up again, and this is why I'm talking about him, because I did do some videos on him, and I do want to elaborate about my feelings about it without getting too deep. Whether you agree with Kevin Samuels or not, one thing I can commend the brother for is he had a position and he stuck to it. Sommore said that, and I agree. He stuck to it. We don't do that anymore. And we wanted to crucify this man. It was people that couldn't stand him. And my thing is, as Sommore said too, and I feel the same way, he wasn't talking to me. There was some things I agreed that what he said. Yeah, and some things started getting outrageous, but that comes with the thing. It comes with clout. People get outrageous. That's what I mean, because you got to feed that beast. You know what I'm saying? Especially depending on how you come in the game. It takes a life of its own. It keeps growing, and you got to outdo yourself every time. But it's a lot of things that I did agree with that he said. But at the end of the day, if I didn't agree with everything, he wasn't talking to me regardless, because I know who I am. But people, you will argue that he needed to go, but you get mad at the systems for suppressing your freedom of speech and expression. We do it to our children all the time even. These children today, they are able to express themselves in ways they didn't before. And when we were growing up, we would have been seen as disrespectful. But here's the thing. This is why we have not changed the world. We have not changed the world because our parents taught us how to be submissive, how to listen, do not question, and religion did that to us as well. And this is why we're not changing the world. To see a change in the world, these children are our future. I know that's such a cliche statement. The children are our future, but it is. It's true. The children are our future. And if you look at the way that they express themselves, and that we allow them to, they're going to be the ones that change the world. We're doing it in our way, but they're going to be the ones that charge forward with it because of how they see things. See, we got to understand that we are responsible for the world that we live in. You want to hush a Kevin Samuels, but you want the government to let you say what you want to say. Oh, well, how is what you want to say any better than what they want to say? Yes, it's got to be some safeguards. It is. It's got to be some safeguards. But my thing is, if you're not out here murdering people, sodomizing people against their wills, hurting children, taking advantage and knocking off the elderly, I don't have no issues with you. I don't. But we got to look at the things that we complain about is what we project out here. We want to be accepted. LGBTQ, my next thing, my next subject. Again, I don't have no issues about who people choose to love. That's their business. And to get real deep and deep and not deep, but the soul does not have a gender. I'll leave it there. The gender is defined by the meat suit that you are in, but your soul does not have a gender. Now you can argue with yourself. I'm just telling you. So I don't have an issue with that. But see, what I notice is I've heard this, black women, they give the license to gay men. Black women love to befriend gay men. But let me tell y'all something. Let me tell y'all something. One thing about gay men, they You gonna get a good kiki. Oh, some of y'all walk around stiff as hell. You come in the room and it's a suffocation. You just snuff out the room. You so stiff and so gay men. Psh, man, let me tell you something. I got a friend. We laugh so freaking hard. It don't make no sense. I don't understand what is the issue with the LGBTQ community. Again, if you ain't out here sodomizing people, hurting people, killing people, and knocking over the elderly, we cool. Y'all owe the LGBTQ community some damn respect. You let them entertain you, style you, sing in your choirs. They do your hair. Then you want to shove them in a closet if they aren't servicing you. We got to stop this. I'm not saying you have to agree with a person there. I said that love conquers all things. And this is what it's about. Being here is we should be loving one another. You ain't got to agree with it. And you're not the master of anybody. And at the end of the day, you can disagree and be respectful over in your own corner. But some of this stuff be unwarranted. Some of this stuff is unwarranted. You know, Sommore made me think about my mom possibly could be scared of taking Uber. She brought up a point. We're in a day and age that we allow people to drive us where we need to go, and we don't know them. We don't know them. We don't know who they are. And as many safeguards as they have put into place with these Ubers and Lyfts, it's still incidents that have occurred that aren't favorable. Okay, nothing is 100%. We know that just by sure averages. Just being an average student in math, you know nothing is 100%. So that means nothing is 100% evil. Nothing is 100% good. Nothing is 100% safe. Nothing is 100% dangerous. Just by averages alone. And so, you know, my mom hasn't had a car since 2019. She got in a bad car accident. And, you know, she calls everybody. And my thing was like, why don't you just get a damn Uber? You know what I'm saying? I don't understand it. That whole car situation is another thing in itself. And, you know, she's extra secretive. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. I can assume all day. But I didn't consider that maybe she is scared. You know, so it reminded me, Sommore reminded me that we must be patient with our parents because they went through a lot that causes them to be fearful. Meanwhile, we don't want to hear none of that shit. Let's be honest with you. We don't want to hear the shit. I'll put myself as an example, right? Because that's what works, transparency. My parents, my mom and my dad, they are divorced, and they are in their separate, you know, spaces. They are in constant panic. Now, they'll never admit to it, but I will say this. This is my experience, my perspective, and my side of the story. Oh, they will never admit to it. My calls from my parents is always about some form of doomsday. There's some form of the shoe about to drop or some drama. Trauma and drama. I've already made a video about it on this channel. Go check it out. Trauma and drama relationships. But they went through a time where even though they weren't enslaved, the mental chains were way heavier even than they are on us now. You know, that's a gradual thing that worked that out. And so we have to be patient with them. And I know we're going to grind our teeth through it with these boomers. I know, because these boomers are something else. We love them, but there's something else. We're going to grind our teeth through it, but we got to be patient because they lived in a different era, just like we lived in a different era. Just like, look at how when we were younger, we would, if you're from Detroit, you know what I'm talking about. We would ride on Belle Isle. We would be riding around on Belle Isle with our music going, acting a fool, having a good time. You would be stuck on Jefferson a couple hours just to get home. We were out in the streets. We was hanging out. We was playing with our friends. We was meeting up at houses. If you couldn't, you found ways to do so. We were living. These kids live in a matrix for real. They live through the computer. which is problematic because they need to be getting out in the sun. They need to be getting that healing energy from the sun. The whole time we were raised to praise the Son of God, which was actually the Son, and the disciples, the 12 disciples, the 12 zodiacs. These kids need to be out in the sun. We're not giving the right reverence to ourselves, the creator within us. We're not connecting like we should. We should be out in the sun. And these kids don't have the same experience that we had. We were out having a good time. I know y'all remember them days. I know y'all remember them days. One thing I want to say, Sommore brought up her story with her doctor, and she was, she was basically expressing, I don't know why. Oh, it's probably my headphones. I don't know why. She was expressing how her age. That's what she was doing. She was giving reference to her age, and she brought up a scenario with her doctor. So I'm not going to tell everything because y'all got to watch it. It was really good and hilarious. Like, I was screaming laughing. But one thing I wrapped up that I realized, I worked in the healthcare system from 2007, January 2007, till about, I want to say, October 2018. And the very thing that was needed, it did not have, and it was love, compassion, and empathy. And although you would have spurts of that, the people that had that, it wasn't enough. It wasn't present enough in the hospital. And I think one day I'm going to write a book about this because I'm telling you, when I went to work there, I really thought I was going to change the world. And I was always supposed to do what I'm doing now, journalism, what I have my degree in and all of that stuff, which is mass communications, public relations. But after I had my son and I was just so mystified, whatever experience I was having at the time, at the age of 19, I realized that I had to do this. I had to be a part of this. And when I got in through and walked through those doors and realized that it wasn't what I thought it was, that did something to me. And that environment, it begins to chip at your soul over time to the point where you can become a zombie if you're not built for that. And it does not make you a bad person if you're not built with that. We all have our gifts. We all have our spiritual gifts. We all have our strengths and our, things that benefit society. But you can be a powerful person and not be meant to work in the hospital. It takes a certain type of person to work there. And if you're not that person, what you will end up doing is becoming very hard to survive. You will go into survival mode and you will essentially become a working zombie. There was days I would go in there and I would be shattered before I would go in there. I would be in tears. I would break down. My husband can attest to this. It was days that my spirit would grieve going in there. I had to get out of there. I felt like the place was going to eat me alive. And the prejudice, the biasness. But one thing I want to say, doctors giving out love, empathy, and compassion will far more heal people than one just passing out at medication. There is a man that I saw a man on TikTok. He wears locks and he talks about a lot of natural food, like being more like plant-based. And I want to say his name is Racqi, but I don't know. I don't want to call him wrong, but he was talking about basically this experiment that was done. I believe it was in an Asian country, and they had one school where the students was being fed poor diets and they were getting love, and then you had the other school that was getting the good diets, but the people around there withdrew love from them, and ultimately it was the love that made them more healthy. than the ones not. And I noticed in the hospital, people don't recover like they should because nobody fucking cares. And that's why they tell you be there with your loved ones, because you care about your love. You can expect somebody else to care about your people more than you. You got to be there when you can. And nobody's perfect. Everybody has their situations. They have their rhymes or reasons why they do things. But if you can be there, the point is be there. It's people suffer in that place. I remember James for the rest of my life. He was a patient of mine. He came, people come into your life and they don't stay forever. Everybody has a season. And this man's season was a few years in my life. He was an older man, and he became a relative. He became like my grandfather that I never had. And I had 2 grandfathers, but I didn't have a close relationship with him. But James did something. He touched my heart. He really did. And we had formed a relationship, a very, like a relationship like family. And I remember, he was going downhill. He initially came in there for a hip surgery. And the infections began to come. And, they just keep treating on you, cutting on you. You know how the system is. They're not trying to heal you. They're trying to make money. Let's just keep it real and not get too deep. But, you catch my drift. And I remember one time he came in one time and he was on the light. Now this is past us forming a bond and everything. And I remember the nurse complaining about it, which it wasn't like she was out of order. It gets annoying. I mean, when you have 12 patients and you're working midnights, you see what I'm saying? And for a nurse, they had about 5 or 6. Sometimes they would have 8. They had a lot of patients to care for. And someone's constantly on that light. It's very draining. You would have to do it. You would have to be there to understand. And so I asked her who her patient was, and I found out it was James. And I went down there and I talked to him and, just spent some time with him. And he began to perform better the rest of the night. And the nurse asked me, she said, "What did you do?" I said, "Oh, that's my boy, and he's good people." And see, I know how to talk to my people. I knew how to give him the love that he needed. You know what I'm saying? And you don't have to do, this is not anything inappropriate. It's just really being personable with that person and giving them time to just feel comfortable and feel safe and, just sharing that exchange that we should be doing, that love vibration. And this is why people die. They die. If you notice, it's people that there's been people in hospice and they didn't pass until after their loved ones came to see them. After they seen the very last loved one that they want to see, they go on. It's that love. Love keeps us. And when we don't have love, we perish. If we fall void of love, I believe the universe will cease to exist. One thing the Creator has to do is love, and it has to create. It has to keep expanding, and it's expanding through us, and it's experiencing the positive and the negative polarity through us in various scenarios. That's why it's I am that I am. That's why it's omnipresent, because it's everywhere. It's in the plants. It's in the air. It's in the water. It's in you. It's in your pets. It's everywhere. The trees, the cloud. There is nothing, nowhere, anything you can look at that the Creator is not in. The vibration is everywhere. Love is important. It's very important. So, I will be closing this out soon because I've been on here for a minute, but I will close this out with my experience with James and how the Spirit talks and the Spirit moves, and it tells you what it is. Sometimes we just ignore it. I had seen James plenty of times over the years. I had shared. He had witnessed me being pregnant. We had talked about the birth of my children. We had talked about when I walked across the stage at Specs Howard. We had talked about the barbecues, he'd ask about my husband, he'd ask about my children, and we'd talk about his dog, and we'd talk about his incident, and we'd talk about his family, and we'd talk about a lot of stuff. We became very close. I don't remember the last time I saw James. When I met him, I was working on the orthopedic unit, the 9th floor, South Tower orthopedic unit. And at this time, I was now working in the emergency room. And he was wheeled in, and I'll never forget looking at him on the stretcher. But this time, James was different. This time, his spirit was different. This time, his spirit was clinging on by a thread. And he asked me for a couple things that he wanted. And I went to go retreat. I came out of my office because that's how I seen him, by coming out of my office, because at the time I was a clerk in the emergency room. I was a clerk. I didn't really do any I didn't do a lot of nursing assistant work at that time. You know, I was a clerk. I got him what he needed. And it was just a soft speaking that said, this will be the last time you will see him. Then I began to fight back the tears. Not only could I see that death was beginning to cling to this man, I knew because I heard it. I heard the voice tell me. I went back to my desk. I gave him what I could because, again, I don't know his diet. I don't know what's going on, so I had to be cautious. But out of love, I gave him what I could. Talked to him a little bit, and I had to get back to work. Time passed. I went to another department. I was working for care management. And I can't remember what happened, but at this time, you know, you were never supposed to go through people's charts. But you could... Me being in the care management, I could access so much, but I knew not to go too far. And I didn't want to go far. I just wanted to get to know what I wanted to know. And I forgot what prompted this, but I found out that he, in fact, passed away. And I picked up my cell phone and I began to call his number in disbelief. It's got to be wrong. It's got to be somebody else. This can't be him. Let me see. Couldn't get through. Couldn't get through. He had left. I didn't get a chance to say goodbye. And I wasn't going to say goodbye when Spirit talked to me, because what I'm about to tell this man, he about to die before he about to die. Even if he has an inkling he's about to check up out of here, I'm not going to say it to him. So I never got a chance to say goodbye. And in that moment, I erupted into tears. I couldn't hide it. I wanted to so bad. I wanted to disappear. I wanted to go home. I wanted to be anywhere but work, because what I was feeling with, what I was dealing with and feeling right now, I didn't want to have to express it on my job. I didn't want my eyes red. I didn't want me to be in disarray. I just wanted to get through the day, but I could not hold it in. Before I knew it, was like the dam had cracked and erupted. I was in tears and I could not control it. I never got a chance to say goodbye. And then I wanted to write a letter to his, because I had his address. I wanted to write a letter to him and hope that I could get an obituary. And I began to look what I could. But I never got that situation resolved, because at the end of the day, I thought about pulling up on the house that he was at. But who's to say that someone else doesn't stay there? I was opening myself for all type of possibilities that just, might not have been wise. So I just took the L in that moment. But James was a beautiful soul, and I was honored to know him. I was so fond of him. I would tell my best friend Tiffany about him all the time, and we would laugh. Oh, that James was something else, baby. You talking about somebody else, something else, and if you know me, you know why I liked him. He was something else. But I lost him. May he rest in peace and power. I love you, James. That was an experience that I will hold forever. I can't articulate how he changed my life or anything like that, but what I can say is just that was one connection that I valued That was one connection that was important. You know, you connect to many people, but you know the connections that you have that are outstanding. And that was just one of them. Another one was one of my friends, Linda. I just lost Linda some weeks ago. And I knew that it was meant for me to know that she was going to pass because of how I got the message. One thing about it, I'm not so much of a fan of Facebook. And these, you know, my favorite platform is TikTok. And so I don't spend a lot of time on the other ones. I will post. I will do what I need to do, schedule my post or do whatever. But I don't spend a lot of time on there. So some things can get missed if they're announced through Facebook. And Spirit would have it that someone contacted me and let me know. And that's what prompted me to look and find out what was going on. And I was able to go to the hospital on 2 different occasions right before she passed and spend some time with her. And I'm glad, because had I have not had those moments and had I missed the funeral, of which I was in attendance to, a lot of the Beaumont family was. They showed up and showed out. She was a wonderful person. Lynn was always laughing. We had some good times. We have some stuff that I won't share on here, but she was a good person. She was a good person. And it's not nothing low down or nothing like that, but still certain things, you know, I just hold dear, and it's not for everybody to know, but she was a hell of a person. And her funeral was a testament of who she was. People came out in droves. They showed up and showed out for her because she cared about everyone. She extended herself, and she was human. We all are. But she was a great friend. You know, you go to these jobs and you don't necessarily always make friends. You make associates, you know, people to get you through the day at work. But you leave that job, you leave them. No, this was the type of person that you held on to. No matter where you went, you held on to her. But her time has come to an end. So may she rest in power. I love her like a sister. She was like a sister, like an older sister to me. We had a lot of keys. We had a lot of great experiences. We did. We did. She kept me sane in that hospital. Her, my friend Kermit, Donna, Patrina, CJ. I seen Charmaine sometimes. But these are the people that kept me sane up in that madhouse. I think I've been on here long enough. People, thank you so much again for tuning in to Racqi Road TV, where we laugh, learn, brainstorm, and expand our consciousness together. Please, I ask that you like this video, and please share it if you find some value out of it. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. I have a documentary coming out on this channel on the 14th. It's a great one. I will be going live Friday at 2 o'clock. I believe I will be talking about, Friday I will be talking about what is the Antichrist. That will be Friday. What's going to happen is I am going to introduce it, and I'm already have it pre-edited. So kind of like how I did, you know, I could do it through the same format. So that's what I'm going to do on Friday. Again, a new video posts every Thursday at 2 o'clock. And I go live on here at 2 o'clock on Fridays. And these are Eastern Standard Times. So much to come. Make sure you check out Candid Stories of My Soul podcast, spiritual podcast. Different people telling their stories, amazing spiritual encounters, backgrounds, near-death experiences. A lot of stuff is deep, various perspectives. Make sure you check that out. I love y'all. I love y'all, and I appreciate y'all. And until next time, babies.